Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt and With me today is the effervescent Bridget D. This is your daily dose of happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today. And especially since we're kind of in celebration mode a little bit. Although Jeanine can't be here today. We're a little sad about that, but she'll be back here next week. And the note that she sent to us said she's got a lot to talk about. So you'll want to tune in next week. There's going to be stuff coming through there. But yeah, this week, Bridget and I have something in common. We are both days away from exiting TYA Bootcamp.
Yes.
Which is, wow. First of all, congratulations.
What are your feelings? Congratulations to you.
Thank you. Well, you came in to boot camp substantially after I did, and it shows what kind of pace you've been moving at and what kind of pace I've been moving at to actually get to the point where we're going out at the same time.
You had a lot more to do.
Yeah, well, there was a little bit.
You still had gardening season and all that. You had
gardening season, yeah, running the podcast every day.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, come on. Yeah.
This event I'm trying to create for January, so yeah, there's a bit, just a bit there.
Yeah, it's exciting though.
It is, yeah. I figured we could spend some time just comparing notes and talk about what are we getting out of this, and also where are we going with it. Because, I mean, you do something like this, right? Because you want to use it. You want to put it to work in your life and make that more abundant lifestyle and so forth. So why don't we just compare some notes on that? First of all, tell us all more. I know we kind of went over this when you first joined the boot camp, but what made you get into it in the first place? And do you feel like you got there?
100%. Yeah. I mean, not like 100%. Oh, I'm there. Like I have it down, but 100%. I'm so happy that I joined. I couldn't be any happier. Honestly, it was from, LOA Today and watching him on LOA Today and like you guys going through it and everything. And I really I always knew that there was just something more that I wanted. Like I always believed in, I was brought up Catholic. So like there was a lot of things about it that I didn't agree with, but then I knew some things in there I totally did, and some things didn't make sense. And I was always searching for something something that would make more sense to me. And Ty just brought it all together for me. And I just show up differently every day in my life because of it. My husband does too, just because we live together. He's totally changing for the best. It's really just, I don't know, made me look at life differently, treat life differently. I mean, I could go on forever. It's blown my mind. So it's totally done its job. It's worth every single second, every penny, everything,
Which means ultimately you did your job because, I mean, when you enter.
Yeah, if you don't put the work in, right. Yeah. You're only going to get out of it what you put into it 100%. Right. Yeah, for sure.
Which is important for sure. The other thing that occurred to me, I mean, I had kind of similar reasons. You said that you did it because of what you'd heard on LOA Today. I did the same thing because David was my co-host for 6-month period or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And after I'd been through all that, with him, first of all, I was sad when he had to leave, which I usually feel about somebody who leaves. But then a few months later, he does a guest appearance and then he sends me a note and says, hey, we're getting the next round going. You want to get in? My first initial reaction was kind of what you said, oh yeah, I have time for this. So not going to happen. I just email side, not happening. And then I woke up the next morning and I said, well, what are you doing? You know perfectly well you want and need to do this. You know you're going to get some good stuff out of it. Why are you putting this off? Mm-hmm. And that's the day I contacted and said, okay, I changed my mind. Let's do this thing.
Yeah, I had a weird moment too like that. It was just what? Why am I he's all about taking fear and judgment out of it. It was okay, I'm totally fearing whether it was the money, I didn't even know what it cost or whatever at the time. I don't even know what it was, but I was clearly fearing something for whether it was a day. I don't even know how long I contemplated it because it wasn't long, but I feel it was just all of a sudden wait, why am I even debating? You know what I mean? So I think I had the kind of a similar thing as you.
When I came in, I had, I didn't have a really clear sense that I want to have X happen. I want to have this great result of some kind. But the only one that I really had for sure was I wanted to make sure that that I was increasing and improving my personal connection to source, my internal connection.
That was one of mine,
Was that yours too? Yeah.
One of them, yeah.
I think one of the reasons I was thinking that is for the longest time, I've been actually kind of envious of people like David who can make that connection and translate it into English and make it, have complete conversations and so forth. I thought that was the coolest thing in the world to be able to do that, right? And I kind of wanted to have an improved connection so that I could have the same kinds of conversations with myself. Interesting how it all plays out.
Yeah.
Go through the course. Now, I went through it, took a longer time to go through it than you did, but we both have gone through the course. And you don't actually address any of this stuff directly in the course. I mean, you learn more about what source connection is and how source thinks and so forth. But it's not like you have a module where you say, okay, you're going to work on this thing that you had in mind when you joined the course. It's not the way the thing is structured. And yet, I actually got what I was looking for.
Yeah.
It's it's a law of attraction thing because some of the answers came through boot camp and some of them came outside of boot camp.
Really?
And they merged together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So for me, the whole TYA experience has turned into a melding with the rest of my life. It's not a separate thing for me anymore.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense because it's really not.
No, it's not.
Once you do it, it's not, it's not, I don't feel as though it would go away unless you totally stopped doing it, you know what I mean? For a while. And then I could see you maybe like falling off or whatever. But for me, I just don't see it ever leaving my life. Like it is a mindset. It's a totally different perspective, and it's a great perspective to have. It's a way more joyous perspective to have. You are going to have a better, happier life. It's as easy as that. And well, it's not easy, but it's, for lack of a better term, it's great.
Well, it is easy. I mean, it's not hard. It's not like you're studying for an exam. You can't imagine how you could possibly pass the exam.
No, but it is work. Like
Yes.
you said, you do it to put the work in and everything. And I don't know about you, but I personally was not the greatest student. I did not do a whole lot of work. So for me, that in and of itself could have been a transgressor for me. But I noticed early on not to let it be because I didn't let myself hammer because I'm not working right now. So I'm not going to hammer. I can come back to this. Or even if I have to wait till the next day, you know what I mean? So I learned fairly on because I did hammer for a little bit when I didn't even realize. I was just journaling for ever and ever and ever. And then all of a sudden I realized okay, I felt really great. And now I feel totally drained or whatever. You know what I mean? So.
I know that for myself, kind of similar to what you're describing, I recognized early on the importance of doing all of it. And I think that's one of the reasons why I took so long, to be perfectly honest, because with, so little time, I didn't want to just kind of slide through.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm going to do this thing, I want to do it.
Right. That's how I felt.
Right.
Put it all into it.
I mean, there were actually entire weeks when I just couldn't get to it. And I missed it in that sense. Oh God, I really want to get back to that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't willing to even finish a module until I had finished it.
Yeah. To sacrifice the quality over your time or whatever. Yeah.
Because all I'm really doing is, if I do that is
sabotaging. You're just sabotaging yourself. Yeah.
The good word. That's a description that really accurately describes it. Funny thing too is when you do put the work in, and I know you found this because you kind of hinted that you really didn't, but I know you did. I could tell you're putting everybody. That's the thing about the group. When you're in the TYA group meetings that happen each week, everybody can tell who's been doing the work. It's so obvious, right? I mean, especially with the new people, you see the new people come in and you kind of watch them go to week to week and oh my God.
I just experienced that. Yeah, I just experienced that for the first time. We had new people. Yeah, and I was oh, this is so cool. Yeah.
It is. It's fun. One of the people who just recently graduated, and she actually came in just slightly after I did, was Addie, and I loved watching Addie come through. Addie's wonderful. She's one of our listeners too.
Yeah.
I've mentioned this many times, just watching the transitions that she went through was it was like watching a human being open up into a brand new person. It was great. Not that there was anything wrong with the old Addie. There wasn't. But the new Addie is just, oh my God, knock your socks off.
Yeah.
So cool.
Happier than ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm seeing it with some of the others too who have been coming in, and just, wow. Yeah, and it doesn't take long. That's the thing that's really amazing. 1 or 2 modules and all of a sudden people are shifting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, you don't have to wait for like 12 modules before you see something happening.
No, not at all. Yeah. No.
Yeah. So it's really good. So do you have any ideas about what you're going to do next that you think will be incorporating the stuff that you've been learning?
I don't know. I do want to stick with it. So possibly mentoring or something. I'm going to
really
see what the options and everything are.
Yeah. Yeah. So mentoring, maybe.
Because I think it would be awesome to be I think that would be awesome because I really don't want it to leave my life. You know what I mean? Anyone who's who's into it and wants to learn about it and go through it, it would be awesome to keep it in my life that way and also help someone else going through it. That, you know what I mean? How much better can you get in my eyes? That would be, that would be all. Yeah. For me, I would totally want to do that.
Yeah. Well, if you have a calling to do it and it feels good, you know, feels like something you want to do, why wouldn't you want to do it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's great. That's great. You already have something in mind.
Yeah.
I mean, for myself, I've been already applying it in terms of what I've been doing during the gardening off season. You know, I'm basically in the background working on various ways to get this event that I'm hoping to put on in January put together.
Yes. And when is it? January?
Don't have the dates yet.
Okay.
I'll tell you what's been going on just so you know. In general, I mean, I don't want to go into all the details because that would probably take 3 shows. But just seriously, I mean, there's a lot. You would have to.
I'm sure. I can't even imagine, to be honest.
But the biggest part is, I mean, I have one audience. It's a great audience. It's the LOA Today audience. And I know just statistically how many are likely to come to a paid event like that, just because that's the way things like that tend to work out. And it would be a nice size audience. I'm greedy. I want to be a huge audience, right?
Yeah.
And our audience here would give us a nice foundation to build that on, but I want to get really, really big. I want to have it so big that, you know, you got buzz going, really big buzz, right? Because I figure, among other things, if you're going to do something like this, one of the reasons you do it is to build the LOA Today audience. Yeah. Well, you can't build it just by reaching out to the LOA Today audience. You have to reach out to a larger audience.
Right.
Otherwise,
be a little counterproductive. Hey guys.
For years, I was telling people, please share the program with other people, and they were doing that. But I mean, there are limits to how far you can share it out, right? Because you know so many people. That's about it. You know? So we kind of went as far as we could with that one. But that's the main problem I've been trying to crack. Now, I did take a course from Selena Dorsey, who does the Law of Attraction World Summits, and learning how she did it, basically. And learned a lot, realized where my strengths were and where the weaknesses were. One of the weaknesses was I needed to have a bigger audience to draw upon. And so that's what led me to doing this. And then I started drawing on my background, because I have a marketing background, among other things. You know, figuring out how do you do that cost effectively? Yeah. And how do you do it quickly? Because I wanted to do this thing in January. That's a fast period for growing an audience, you know, which means I have to do it with paid ads. There's no way to do it organically that quickly. Organic takes time.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with organic. I built this whole thing organically. Heck, most of it happened just through pure law of attraction with no interference at all.
Yeah, I was going to say, it could be a random, you never know.
Oh, yeah. But if you want to do it quickly, you got to go do something very specific. Yeah. And of course, the problem is
that I'm getting this done.
Paid advertising is expensive. No, there's no 2 ways about it. It's just you put out a lot of money and you might not get any results out of it, depending on how you do it. What I realized is I need to basically isolate an audience. So I've been selectively reaching out through various ways I know to do it, using Facebook ads, to find a core group of people outside of the LOA Today community who have an affinity for the kind of stuff that we would talk about, and might have some interest in it, and might even have particular needs along the lines of what I have in mind for this particular summit. I'm aiming to make this more about, because there's 3 things that people generally are interested in. I mean, there's a lot of things people are interested in where law of attraction is concerned, but the top three, money, relationships, health, those are the big three.
Right. Yeah.
And this is going to be the money one. I'm planning later to do relationship one and health one.
Money.
Oh yeah, I have this whole plan, no doubt, you know.
Good for
This
you.
is one of the things that TYA does for you.
I know, I'm digging it. You have so many, I like it.
It gives you confidence, and you give yourself confidence, but you get yourself confidence because you feel like, yeah, I really do have.
Let me dream big. Like
Let's
you
dream
said,
big.
you want it to get to a bigger audience. Why not?
I mean, I'll tell you one little dream I was having today. It's actually a huge dream, but I was thinking, okay, let's dream really far down the line. I've got like 2 or 3 summits under my belt. They've all been pretty successful. Got some money out of it. I can use some of that money. How do I want to use it? Wouldn't it be great to put it on a free summit for people in third world countries?
Oh, wow. That would be
People
cool.
who can't normally afford to do it. Because most of the time when you have somebody who's reaching out, particularly on a paid campaign, they're doing it to the first world, you know, to the Western world generally.
Yeah.
That's where the audience is coming from. But what if you were reaching out to the third world people? The people who really could use a financial law of attraction understanding in a big way.
Yeah. No, that would be cool.
Now, you have to treat that as a loss leader. You're like, you're not going to make money on that, but that's okay if you can afford to do it.
Yeah, if you can afford to and donate your time, like why not? Yeah, if you can, why would you not?
Cool.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
And I could just see, potentially I could see millions of people wanting to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not hard to imagine.
No, and people do have the time and, the means to do it. So, yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
Well, that's
that would be awesome.
A lot of the third worlders don't have the means. That's the point.
Right. Yeah.
So the point is that they may have the time. They probably, in most cases, do have the time to at least attend some of it or listen to some of it. And as long as that's the case, then I feel like I'm
but I mean over here, like people do have the time and everything. Like people would love to do that. Like, you're so right. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why I figured that becomes the basis for the first 2 summits, because I put it out to the people who can afford to pay for something like that. Mm-hmm. That raises the income. Now I've got the income that I can go apply to somebody who doesn't have the means. So everybody gets the benefit of it.
There you go.
That felt really good.
What? I like it.
Yeah.
I like it too. A lot.
It's something I've thought about for the longest time. I mean, there's always going to be a certain bias just because we're English speakers, so we're going to tend to reach English speaking audiences. And English has become the default language of the world. I mean, we can honestly say that. But nevertheless, there are also going to be cultural biases that just lead to, only Americans and British and Australians and New Zealanders, because we speak English as our primary language. So they're the ones who tend to all be in the same circles. And that's who you get. And there's nothing wrong with that, and Canadians too. But we need to reach larger than that. I mean, the movie The Secret, if I remember correctly, that one had total sales of somewhere around 300 million worldwide.
Oh, really? I didn't know.
Yeah, something like that. And large chunks of that, of course, were in the English-speaking world, but some of it went outside of that. And so people now all around the world, maybe not in large percentages, but it doesn't require, when you have 8 billion people, it doesn't have to have a large percentage. 1% of 8 billion people is 100 million. It's still a large chunk of people, So it's not like you have to have a huge number of people, percentage-wise, interested. But they are out there. They've gotten tastes of it. You see it in the Facebook groups. I swear, the people who ask most of the questions in the Facebook groups are not from the English-speaking countries.
Really? I don't really go on there a lot, but
that's
cool.
Haven't much lately anyway, but that's what I was noticing. I mean, you can just tell from the names. The names tell you very clearly what parts of the world they're from.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it has become a worldwide phenomenon.
Definitely.
Thing. Well, that means people, they need the direct connections that you get when you have a paid type situation. Mm-hmm. Because that's where the intensive study comes from. I mean, we got that from TYA. Now, TYA cost us quite a bit of money to get in there, right? But that TYA expense was well worth it because it's such an intensive study. Yeah. You're studying yourself, really. And you're studying where your background is and where your resistance points are, and learning how to turn them around and get them out of the way so they're not blocking you anymore, all that kind of stuff. That's an intensive study.
Yeah. Are you and Louise going out after you graduate? Are you guys going to celebrate?
I don't know what we're going to do. I mean, we'll make a deal out of it somehow. We go out to eat fairly often anyway, so.
Oh, nice. I thought you guys did.
Yeah.
He likes to, right?
Lately, during the winter, we don't go out quite as often, but.
Yeah, I'm rough in the winter. Oh my God, Walt. I did walk 4 miles today and I was like, oh my God, I did Walt style. I don't normally do 4. But oh my gosh, it's like, it said it felt like it was like 20, I don't know, 24 or something. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, I cannot walk this morning. Like, I'm going to die. But then I'm like in my house and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die if I don't walk today. Like, so it for real. So then it was like 11 or something. And then it said it finally felt like it was like 30. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to bundle up and do it. And then it just felt so freaking good. It didn't feel like it was even cold because I just wanted it so bad. And then it was great. I was like, yes.
Well, plus if you bundle up really well, I mean, you can get yourself warm for any kind of situation.
Yeah, I don't bundle up too well because then I feel like I can't move and I'm like restricted.
True.
But like, I'm like weird. I can't even wear pants to bed. I have to wear shorts. Like, I can't be too restricted. So I just wear like a zip up and
wait,
a jacket.
hold on. You can't just slide that past there. You're not telling me that you're wearing shorts in 24-degree weather, I hope.
Oh, just to bed. No, just to bed. I'm saying I can't wear pants. Yeah, like I feel restricted sometimes. So like even when I'm outside walking, I'll have a jacket on, but just that, a zip up and pants, and that's me bundling up.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone would always be like, oh my God, you're not even wearing a jacket, and it would be like freezing out. So that's me bundling up. But yeah, once I just start walking and my mind just starts going either with the music or with like how beautiful the sky is or whatever it is, then it just is like all good.
Those appreciations when you're doing a walk are just wonderful.
Oh yeah.
They really are.
They can change any mood.
They do. They'll make your whole day.
Oh, they do. Like, oh yeah. Oh.
And it doesn't matter. You could be in a high vibe or a low vibe. Either way, you get higher.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Oh my God. Yeah. I realized that the one day when I, did the movie in my mind, like when you told me that you, like when you're meditative, like walking or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to try that. And like, I was already up that day and I did it. So it was so easy. And I was like, this is like awesome. But yeah, it will change any mood.
It does.
To better. Yeah.
It's also one of my favorite times to be dreaming. I mean, I told you about the dream of being able to reach out to third worlders. That came during my walk today. By the way, I was taking a walk today too. So yeah.
Nice.
But that's
what time did you go?
I went out around noon.
Okay.
And I bundled up real warm for it. By noon here, it was almost 40. And the only thing that made it uncomfortable was that there was a bit of a wind. But other than that.
Yeah, that's what made it so cold or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, but it wasn't too bad. I was able to do that. Put it this way, I can't remember how cold it was, so it must have been good.
Yeah, well, and it was worth it because it came to you on your walk.
Exactly.
So, hey.
Exactly. Yeah. It was one of those things where, yeah, I'm moving along and I'm just kind of, I wasn't even focused on anything. It was meditative, like you were saying. My mind wasn't really tying into any particular thought pattern. And then all of a sudden it just kind of came to me like, wouldn't it be great if we could just reach people who don't normally get reached with this stuff for a summit? I mean, that'd be so good.
Yeah.
I was liking that a lot.
So do you still have a vision board? Like, do you add things to it or do you not?
I just have the one that we created for Bootcamp.
Okay.
Those module 7 or 8, something like that. 9, 10, around there. You create a vision board, and I created that one. And yeah, I've been using that ever since. Oh, we got a question from Kevin in the live stream.
Ooh.
Let's bring that up on screen. He says, what do you think about metaverse living in a 3D world that you create from actually buying virtual clothes to buying property? Will this affect LOA kind of like my vision board? That's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
What do you think? You got that?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, to me,
I think
anything that you're doing imagining,
it's easy to confuse me.
Is going to be helpful if it's something that you're liking. I think that's really the key question there. I kind of inferred that it was stuff that you liked in a from the way you were describing it. And apparently this is a Facebook construct. Makes sense. It's metaverse because they're now known as Meta. Good luck with that one. I don't know how they're going to be able to nail that one down. But apparently they have this 3D world, and then it sounds like one of these virtual games that you can play. It sounds like they have their own version of something like that. But you buy virtual clothes, you buy virtual property. So it's like what was that game that used to be popular a number of years ago? I can't think where you create communities, you create entire societies. I can't think what that game was. I wasn't much of a gamer. I never have been much of a gamer. But it sounds something like that.
I don't know.
And people just go crazy with it. There was no end game. It was just, what can you do to build
Oh
your
my
own
God. Oh, you create like little people and like little like families and houses and stuff?
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Was it on a computer?
Yeah.
Was it,
Yeah.
was it Sims?
Sims, that's the one.
Yeah, oh my God.
Yes.
Oh my God, I remember that. That's so funny.
And that's
yeah,
kind of
okay, I know what you're talking about. That's the same game? That's a metaverse? Is that the same?
Well, no, but it sounds similar to me. It just, I just equate them like, yeah, they sound like kind of the same concept to them.
Got you, okay.
Right. Because what he's describing doesn't sound like it doesn't have like an object of the game, to accumulate the most money or win the most pieces or, something like that, or fight the most battles, whatever. It doesn't seem to have that. It's just, you have this 3D world where you're buying stuff and you're interacting like you would in the real thing. He says,
so do you think it would affect his vision board? I think I have material things on my vision board because anything that you can appreciate, you can have, and they would all serve me a great purpose as well. So is that?
He says Sims is the Pong of video games. I guess that's his way of saying it's a little old. Okay, yeah, I'll buy that. It's a little old. I get that.
I remember that. Yeah, that was pretty.
But I think the point is still valid. I don't know. I honestly think that it isn't so much a question of whether it's going to affect a vision board. I think the bigger question is, how is it going to affect your vibration?
Yeah, and like
really,
the feeling on it.
Board. Yeah. The vision board is really all about raising your vibration. I mean, yeah, you do want to attract those things into your life, but mainly you do vision boards and you go back to revisit your vision board to keep your vibration up. Because when you keep your vibration up, that's when everything starts to happen.
Yeah.
So if you have a vision board and you're doing like this 3D game that Facebook created, I think it really comes down to, well, how do you feel playing the game?
Oh, yeah. I
mean, if you're liking the game, then it combined with your vision board, they're going to reinforce each other.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not liking the game, especially if the game in any way contradicts what you got on your vision board, well, you're just contradicting your own vibration.
Yeah, very true.
So he says, he's got a couple things here. He says, if my avatar is wearing a leather jacket that I bought, will it raise my vibration like I have it? The answer to that comes into how real is it in your mind?
Yeah, do you really feel like you have it?
I mean, if your avatar has it, is it representative of you?
Having it, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how do you have this big distinction in your mind between you and your avatar, or are you and is your avatar like your alter ego, so to speak?
Yeah, like things that you wish that you had instead of things that you feel like you have.
Or since an avatar is really a personhood or a personality, is it the personality you want to be?
Yes.
I mean, if you're creating an avatar that's everything you don't like, probably not going to get the result you're looking for.
No. No.
But on the other hand, if the avatar is representative of where you want to be, yeah, sure. Of course, everything's going to cross-pollinate.
Yeah.
No matter what we do, right? I mean, you and I are finishing up TYA Bootcamp. Meanwhile, I was running a gardening service. And I was also in the process of trying to set up this online event in January, plus living the other aspects of my life. And all of it is interacting.
Yeah.
They aren't separate.
Yeah. No.
They're not separate at all. So, yeah, of course there's going to be interactive vibration.
Mm-hmm.
The real question is, are you contradicting yourself at any time? because that's where blocks come from.
Right. Yeah.
Blocks are where we say, I want one thing and then I vibrate another way. Well, yeah, but that's not going to work.
Yeah. And then you don't think that X, Y, and Z is possible anymore.
Right.
And, you
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
go down that rabbit hole.
He said, will it raise my vibration like I have it? The question is answered by, do you actually believe that that is a representation of yourself? If you do, then yes. If you don't, it's going to have some effect, but it's not going to have the same effect. Neville Goddard talks about this, right? When he talks about trying to attract something, he describes it in terms of like climbing a ladder. I think that was the example he gave most frequently. He actually gave it in a few different places that he wrote. But it's the difference between imagining yourself walking up to a ladder and climbing the ladder versus imagining yourself actually physically going up to the ladder, grabbing the ladder with your hands, putting your right foot on one rung, your left foot on the next rung, and imagining yourself actually physically climbing the ladder up close.
Yeah.
They're two entirely different experiences. Mm-hmm. One is you kind of looking at yourself going off and doing it. It's a very distant.
Right. Yes. Yes.
The other one is in person right there. I am holding the ladder. I feel the ladder in my hands.
Yeah, you're doing it. Yeah.
Very, very different experiences.
Yeah.
Not that they both won't have an effect, but the second one's going to have much bigger effect.
I agree. Yeah, 1000%.
Like Neville said, feeling is the secret. Well, if you really feel it, you're going to believe it. If you really believe it, you're going to believe that you feel it, and you're thinking it, and you're believing it, and it just becomes this one great big ball of energy that just builds and builds and builds until it finally manifests.
Yes. Yeah. In a perfect way.
Interesting phrase, in a perfect way. The reason I say that is doesn't actually everything manifest in a perfect way? It's just
I think so. Yeah.
We just don't necessarily want that particular thing. But
sometimes we don't know that it's good for us too, in the moment. And then, we see it later down the road and we're like, oh, thank God all that happened. It might have felt like shit at first, but thank God all that happened. I totally get that. And now things like that happen to me so much quicker. And when things happen, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I realize them so much quicker because of TYA. Like before I would have realized them way later. Now it's like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean?
The way I would express it is stuff that would have taken a week or two to unfold now unfolds in an hour. Mm-hmm. So I don't have to go through 2 weeks of solid pain in order to learn what came out at the other end. I'm done after an hour.
Yeah.
Now I can move on with my life.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, when something good unfolds, this is what's really interesting. The good stuff, it becomes apparent quickly, but it unfolds slowly. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Like, there's something, I think it has to do with the fact that when you go through a program like TYA, you end up more regularly high vibrating.
Yes.
High vibration becomes a major portion of your day-to-day life. Maybe not 100%, but a lot of the time you're feeling good. And because of that, first of all, stuff starts to show up in a way that it is fast and easy. But secondly, it lasts longer. Mm-hmm. Right? Because we're vibrating to it.
Yeah.
We're not driving it away like we used to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it sticks around, which is kind of fun.
And you're excited about it, so you're getting even more high vibe. Mm-hmm. You're even more believing in yourself.
Yep.
And all your abilities and all your dreams. That you can just keep dreaming big and, get higher and higher and, there is no ceilings, they say, so I believe that.
Isn't it interesting how they talk about that a lot in boot camp? The coaches do. They talk about how they've been out of boot camp now for 3 or 4 years and they can't believe it keeps getting better and better.
Yep. Yeah.
And to a person, every single one of them agrees on that one.
And I can see that because even, the podcast or like anything that he does, like sometimes I'll listen to them like 4 times over again, things like that. So you just get more and more information. It's like so much, so many nuggets. So
congratulations.
Yeah, I could just imagine how much time you gain more and more,
I just want to congratulate Kevin. He says, I have great high vibes today. Well done.
Ah, good.
That means you've been putting the work in. That's good.
Yes.
Well done.
That's awesome.
Pat yourself on the back.
We love high vibes. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good.
Cheers to you, Kevin.
It's also interesting too how when you talk with David, and I'm kind of hearkening back to that time period when he was a regular here on the show.
Yeah.
Like most good coaches, his message is very consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Any good coach, their messages stay very consistent, and his is also. The fun part, of course, is that he's kind of like not a Jekyll and Hyde, but he's like two personalities because he's David and then he's also the stream at times.
Yeah.
And they are different personalities. Not one being a Jekyll or Hyde. It's not that kind of thing, but
right.
they are very different personalities. And yet in both of those personalities, each personality is very consistent with its messaging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 100%.
So when you get that kind of consistency going on, that's where you get the high vibe.
Yeah.
Because you stay with it all the time.
Yeah.
Which is very similar to what we are hopefully committing to as we leave the TYA Bootcamp, is to keep doing the TYA practice every day.
Yeah. So how are your feelings? How are you feeling? Are you like...
Well, like I know you know it because you and I have both finished it. The last module you do before you go to the graduation module includes setting intentions. Mm-hmm. And they recommend setting 3 intentions, and they recommend at least one of them being, one of the so-called difficult ones, money or, losing weight or something like that. And my first intention that I wrote down was literally to keep doing the practice every day.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Because, and it's not like I'm going to punish myself if I miss a day. I actually missed today because I had to wake up early to do that early podcast, but that's okay.
Yeah.
It was still high vibe, so it's not like I wasn't getting any out of it, but I had to forego doing my daily practice. Will I do it again tomorrow? Absolutely. Of course I will.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you still did your walk, which is meditative and everything. So I'm sure you did a bunch of other things throughout the day that you typically do that mm-hmm. are very, high vibe and TYA-like and whatnot. Like you said, it all intertwines into one.
It does. It does. And it's reminiscent of kind of what the Abraham Hicks teaching is about, what they call segment intending, or what is now morphed into pre-paving. In other words, going through your day, and as you go through your day, for this chunk of time, you set the intention that X is going to happen. Okay. And then you get through that portion of the day, and then you set your intention for the next portion of the day, and so on and so forth. And TYA, they don't, strictly speaking, teach exactly that, but it's pretty clear you are supposed to keep carrying it out throughout your day. Mm-hmm. So that's what I've been doing. And that's one of the reasons I set that intention. I mean, that was one of my easy intentions, because that's not hard to manifest. You either do it or you don't.
Yeah.
It's not like you're waiting for something to show up. but nevertheless, it's an important intention. That's why I put it in there. And the fact that I have been committing to do that means that, like, for the last, I've been really doing it now for the past month, a little over a month now, trying to commit to this whole series of things that I do every day, which quite honestly, I wouldn't be able to do during a gardening season. It would just be too much. It's about an hour's worth of stuff every day, just starting the day. Right. And for a lot of people, that's a lot. But I figure during the winter month, I can at least do that. And then I can figure out after the winter months, how much of it do I want to keep? Yeah. Well, even though I haven't been able to do it every day, I've been doing it pretty consistently. I would say like a good 5 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week. Nice. And out of that, I just feel good every day. I mean, I can actually now think about over the last month or so, the 2 or 3 times where I went down the spiral out of a month. I mean, think about that. Yeah. There were times when, it'd be every day. Now it's like maybe once every 10 days. Yeah. That's a huge shift. Yeah. And then when you do, or if you feel like you're starting to slip, you just can catch yourself like so much quicker and easier. And it's like, okay, right. I'm just going to get out of this energy. Like, let me go do a low thought activity if I need to. Let me go take my walk. Exactly. Yeah. And to make it even more cool, I don't know about you. Before I took the TYA Bootcamp, I had some methods that I knew for raising vibration. Mm-hmm. But you get some good tools like that out of TYA. And now I feel like I can master anything that comes along, no matter how bad it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get that feeling too?
Yeah, because like he said, nothing will end that which we are here. We are all eternal souls, and I truly believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Always have. Like that totally resonates with me.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, it's like how much of a big deal is this thing that I think is like a huge problem in my life or whatever. Our problems we make humongous, and they're really not as big most of the time that we make it in our heads. Or we blow something up like, oh, what if this happens or what if that happens? I mean, I don't do that anymore because of TYA, but like I totally used to,
Yeah, sure.
100%. Yeah.
One of the other things that you get from the TYA program is they have 3 different meditations that they give you. There's the first one, which is kind of a totally step-by-step guided meditation. There's a second one, which has little pieces of it, but it's much more of just a quiet meditation with music in the background. Mm-hmm. And then there's a third one that's kind of like those first 2, but it's only a very condensed 5-minute one. The first ones are like 20 minute long. Yeah. And the third one's a 5-minute one for that quickie kind of, which I don't use very much, but I'd use those first 2 a lot now. Do you use those?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I use the first one, like probably 4 days out of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I use it every day, actually.
Nice.
I tend to use the second one, what they call it the relaxation one. I have both of them on my phone, so I can do either one.
I only have the one on my phone. Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes it easier, right?
It does. Yeah. I got them on their own little playlist. It makes it a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also have these little portable headphones so that I can, get up in the middle of the night, not wake Louise up, and play a meditation and just lie there in bed and do a meditation.
Nice.
And the reason I've liked doing that is in the last few years, I have not always been able to get through a whole night's sleep. Sometimes I'm awake at 2 or 3 in the morning and having trouble going back to sleep. So I figure, well, if I'm going to be awake, I might as well do something with it. I got these meditations. So I start doing the meditations. You know what happens? I'm ready to go to sleep before the meditations are over.
I was going to say, I fell asleep. I did the same thing, and I just went downstairs and laid on the couch with my headphones, and I did it on my phone or whatever, and I just fell asleep, and I was like, oh my God. Yeah. Like, I didn't think that was going to happen. I put it on because I was not sleeping, and I was like, might as well do something with my time. Yeah, right? And then I was out.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing how much, I suspect this is probably true for any meditative process. But there's something about the music on these is very spacey and very weird. I actually didn't like it at first. The first time I heard the first meditation, I said, it doesn't rub me the right way. But after 2 or 3 times through, it kind of grew on me.
Yeah, I loved it. I don't know. I'm better with guided meditations than doing like any sort of just meditation kind of in myself. I'm better with them. So the first time I heard that, I was like, oh, I liked it, but there were times where I also wasn't able to do it, and I had to get up and just do like a low thought activity and stuff. Because sometimes I couldn't like just quiet my mind and like listen, I couldn't. So I was like, all right, let me go wash the dishes or go on my walk or something instead. You know what I mean? So that's why I only do it like 4 times.
Yeah. Oh, that's one of the great things that you learn is that it doesn't really matter if you don't get it right.
Yeah.
You don't end up beating yourself. Oh God, I screwed up the meditation.
Yeah, it's like it is what it is, dude. Yeah, I can't. Like, if it's not happening today, it's not happening today. Like, so I'll go do something else that's going to help me, and I'll go listen to either your podcast, his podcast, whatever, and go on my walk because I'm still going to get so high from that, you know?
Sure. Yeah, no, that's true. Let's talk a moment about journaling too. And the reason I want to talk about it, I outlined this right after I joined the boot camp. So listeners who've been around that long will recognize this. But the first module is where everybody talks about how when they go through boot camp, there's at least one module that just knocks you for a loop. And for me, it was the very first module because the first module talked about journaling. And I have always hated journaling. I really have. I mean, we talk about it on the show, and I always nodded my head whenever somebody said about it. You know, but there's no way I'm ever going to journal. And I knew why. I didn't know why, so to speak, but I knew what happens. And sure enough, it started to happen immediately. If I tried to take a pen in hand and write for more than 2 minutes, my hand cramps up and it becomes excessively painful. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened here. Even worse. I mean, it was more painful. I don't think it was 2 minutes. I think it was like 10 seconds and all of a sudden my hand was in pain. And I realized there was an emotional content going on there. There was something that I was picking up from my past, from one of the transgressors, something like that. I don't know what, but it was just passing through my hand. And I couldn't finish the journaling exercise.
Mm-hmm.
And that sent me down the spiral. Like, well, what am I, failing on the first module?
Yeah, right.
But after talking to people and meditating on it a little bit, I finally got the idea, well, I don't have to do it with a pen. I can do it with a computer keypad, which I'm good at. I love typing. That worked great for me. So that enabled me to actually do the journaling portions. And even there, it was still a challenge. I mean, to me, the idea of just writing down what's going on inside your head, whatever comes out, it just, on some level, it just seemed like a waste of time. I knew it wasn't. I mean, intellectually, I knew that, but it felt like it at first. And I had to get past that. I've actually gotten to the point now where I don't want to journal every day, but twice now, I went to journaling when I had a problem I couldn't work out, and it helped me work it out.
Yes.
So I had a different experience.
Yeah, I love that. That's the only time I used to journal. That is the only time I used to journal, when I didn't know why I felt a certain way, and then I would figure it out, like, eventually, just from writing it down. Yeah.
Kevin says, no excuse, Walt. Use voice note. Yeah, I thought about that, but I do podcasts all day long.
Voice note.
And it's true. So there are other people in boot camp who do audio journaling.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't think I think I'm better with paper and pen for some reason.
You have to do whatever.
Different strokes. Yeah, for sure.
It's true.
Yeah.
But that was a big thing for me, was actually taking on journaling. Was there anything that was out of your normal thing that just you would have not thought it felt good to you, and now all of a sudden you feel better because you did it in TYA?
Maybe not really that, but like, I totally didn't think I was going to get out of journaling what I did. Like, because like I said, like, I only journaled when like I didn't even know what was like up in here, like in my brain, you know what I mean? And then it would like come out and I was like, okay, cool. But other than that, I didn't really journal, and like, so I wasn't like thinking like, oh man, but like at first I think it was like more of like the whole school thing. Like, I wasn't used to really doing like work, you know, and like, that's kind of work, you know what I mean? Like, it, like, in a way, like, that's your homework, you know what I'm saying? So like, maybe like that aspect of it, but other than that, no. And then just like the vision board, I was just pumped to do, and because I wanted to do for so long. So I was just glad that that was a module. So I actually did that.
Are you still doing that on your wall? I remember you
yeah, I add to it. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Has it grown?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. And I saw you were posting about Post-it notes the other day too. So you've been adding that in too, which is kind of cool.
I was listening to, I think, the Wealth Pyramid or something. So I was sitting here and I had my sticky notes here, and like, they were just sitting there, and I was like, oh, I should share this. Let me share that. You never know. And somebody did say they needed to see that or something, I think, that day or something. So I was like, sweet, that mission accomplished, man.
Right. Absolutely. Oh, it's the same kind of buzz I get from doing the podcast when I hear something we talked about help somebody. Like, oh, yeah.
Right?
Little
man.
Chill down the spine. It's good.
Yeah.
Really
seriously.
Good. Did you run into any modules that threw you for a loop, or were you the exception to the rule? Because everybody seems to talk about there's one that really throws them.
I was on one actually for a while. Oh my God, what one was it? There was one I was on for a little bit. There was.
Apparently it didn't really cause major damage because you can't even remember what it is.
No, because you know what I think it really was? Well, I think it was honest to God like anything else in life. I think it was like, I like was like not like all the way up my spiral. So I like really didn't want to do it. Like you were saying kind of earlier, like I didn't want to do it because I felt like not like I would have been hammering, but in a way, like in a slight way, because it was like I wanted to do it, but I don't know, it wasn't like vibing. So it was like, it was almost like I just didn't want to like fight myself type of thing. So I was just like, you know what I mean? So I was on it for a while, but I think it was just because of my own, like vibe and stuff. you know?
Mm-hmm. Well,
Yeah.
when you're saying that, as you're saying that, I'm thinking about a comment I made earlier today about how I wanted to have a better internal connection, my own connection to source. I wanted to have those kinds of communications. I wanted to be able to have conversations and so forth. I can't say I've gotten to the point where I can have conversations, but I did get insight that I didn't have previously. And again, it came outside of TYA, but I think it was directly influenced by what I did in TYA. What I realized, and this is something that had been coming together in my mind for a long time. It's just kind of like the little pieces coming together and, kind of blending together until they finally created a cohesive whole. But what I finally realized is I've been told many, many times, we all have the ability to channel. We all have the ability from lots of different people, not just David. Lots of people.
Same. Me too. Yeah.
Lots of people have told me that everybody is psychic. Everybody has psychic ability. Everybody has all this stuff. And if anything else, it actually made me feel worse because I kept thinking, well, yeah.
Right. And I'm like, well, I don't feel anything. What the hell is this? Yeah.
What I learned out of all this, both the TYA and outside TYA practices, is I did have it all along. I kind of suspected that. But I finally figured out exactly how it is that I've had it all along and how we all have it. And I don't even remember what cued it for me, what kind of pulled the whole thing together. But what I finally grasped was that when I'm feeling low vibe, any messages that are coming through are so distorted that they can't be counted as being from source. They actually probably are. It's like Abraham Hicks describes: if you're low vibe and you're feeling negative emotions, it means you're disagreeing with what source is telling you. Well, that makes sense. And any of the ideas that I get that come into my mind, if I try to implement them, they're so twisted around that they don't work. But when I'm high vibe, really high vibe, any ideas that come into my mind work. And somehow it clicked, like, that's what guidance is.
Yeah.
All of the ideas coming into my, and I've had people tell me all the ideas coming into your mind are guidance, but I knew that couldn't possibly be a completely accurate statement because I would follow some of them and they'd go awry. Why did they go awry? Finally got it, because I was acting on low vibe ideas.
Yeah.
But when I act on only high vibe ideas, I mean, I can't say I'm always 100% high vibe when I count them that way, but they have a very strong tendency to work out well.
I was just, yep.
Right?
Yep.
So now I have a better understanding. I've always had a connection to source. I just didn't know when to listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I understand the difference. Listen when you're high vibe. When you're low vibe, ignore the crap out of it. Not that the source message is any good, but your distortion of it's going to ruin it for you.
Yeah, like your intuition is when you're high vibe. Listen to that, go with that. Your fear, if you have fear in it, you definitely ain't high vibing.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, definitely don't do that. Whatever comes to your head then, yeah.
And I used to really not freak out, but I used to be, I used to put a lot of emphasis, let's put it that way, on the idea that I needed to have a clear distinction between my thoughts and messages coming to me. And now I understand why I felt that way. It's because I thought that was the only way I'd be able to differentiate between the useful messages and the non-useful messages, the ones that are working against me. What I've since learned is it doesn't really matter. And I've even had people tell me, right here on the show, it doesn't really matter whether or not it's your own voice or somebody else's voice. But it didn't make sense to me until now. Now I get why you can do that. Because all you have to do is just trust how you're feeling. If you're feeling great, the message is good. Yeah. If you're not feeling great, wait another day. Or wait another day. Whatever it is. Just wait it out until you get to the better place.
After your walk.
Yeah. Exactly. So I've been applying that with the latest projects that I'm working on, the January project. And I've actually experimented with it too, just to make sure that it was true. There have been times when I would tentatively try something that came to me low vibe and then really watch for the results. And sure enough, it just went awry fast. I mean, I didn't have to wait very long. It would go awry really fast. Yeah. And then if I tried something, even if it was a little bit wacky, that came to me high vibe, more often than not, it worked.
Yes. So I love that.
I got reinforcement.
I love that.
And that reinforcement, I mean, we all know what that's like. When you get reinforcement.
Especially when it's something wacky. That's just my favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like my middle name. I love
Your
that.
middle name. Okay.
I love that.
Well, it's true. I mean,
love it.
a lot of what happens, a lot of what we experience as we learn all this LOA stuff is kind of wacky. And so that makes it kind of hard.
That's why I love it.
Well, yeah, okay. Some people have trouble adjusting. Let's say, yeah, bring it on. Let's have some more.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah. And how, like, quickly is it now, too, like you were saying, when you're, like, low vibing, too, like, he says it's just, like, recycled thoughts, like, when David says that, it's, like, so true. It's like, oh, my gosh. And then I just, like, kicked that voice out of my head. I'm like, what? It's like you just started to notice that so much quicker.
Yes.
Now it doesn't really come in that often, but like before it totally did. And then when you realized it so much quicker, it was like, oh my God, didn't even realize how often you were here.
Right?
You know? Yeah.
Did you, I know David at one point was talking about having us name those negative voices.
Oh, I named mine what? Oh, hell yeah. Oh my God, yeah. So my mom wanted to name me Bernadette and my dad wanted to name me Bridget. And no offense to all the Bernadettes out there, but I like Bridget better. So I named her Bernadette. So
okay.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, mine, I figured my alter ego to Walt would be Wilt. So Wilt is my negative voice.
Okay. I kind of like that being your negative one, Wilt, because it reminds me of like a wilting flower and you guys have like a gardening business and whatnot.
That's what I thought too. Yeah.
Good one,
and
Walt.
it's kind of a good reminder that if I'm hearing from Wilt, well, Wilt's only going to wilt me, so don't go there.
Yeah, and Bernadette's going to burn me, dude.
Ah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, she's going to burn my head, man.
So you're spelled Bernadette, B-U-R-N. That's really cool. Okay. Yeah, that's good. I like that. Really good.
That way, also save half the Bernadettes out there.
Ever since David said that his alter ego was named Claude, I just love the name. I thought it was a great choice for a name.
Yeah, that was interesting. I was like, okay, I haven't even heard that name in probably like once in my life.
What's your name, Claude? Again, we apologize.
Right. Yeah.
With you.
Yes.
But you get to choose your own name for something like that. Interesting thing too. I don't know about you, but since I did pick a name, he hasn't shown up much.
Yeah, and when she did and does, or like ever, like it's so easy to kick them out.
Very easy. Yeah.
Yeah. And because you realize that you're doing it, you're like, why am I talking any type of either bad on myself, not thinking my future's going to turn out the way I want to, or the next hour is not going to, like anything done, like anything, any self-doubt or negative talk. It's like, dude, why am I doing that? Like, goodbye. Like, bye. You know? Yeah. Yeah.
It's also, the other thing I've been learning to do is to appreciate Wilt. Because that's one of the four pillars, right? You have the four pillars of TYA, which was originally forgiveness, but it's kind of morphed into appreciation. Mm-hmm. That's really the challenge. If you can appreciate the transgressors, that's the real big challenge.
Yeah.
And so I've been finding ways to appreciate Wilt, and I think that's why Wilt's staying away.
Yeah.
Because once he's appreciated, he doesn't need to show up anymore.
Yeah, because without, like Debbie says, right? Without your dark, you wouldn't know your spark. It's kind of like, right. It's your negative, and there you go.
And once you know it, I mean, it's like Louis said on Monday. He said, if you love Satan, what happens to Satan?
Oh my God, that was funny. That was funny. Sometimes he just cracks me up. I'm like, oh my God.
And it's true. Of course. I mean, when you think about it, it's got to be true. One way to defeat Satan. Love him.
Yeah, it was just so funny. I was like, oh my God, when he was just like, I love Satan. I was like, really? Like, he would say that. Like, oh my God, he's so funny.
Meanwhile, Orthodox priests were fainting all over the world, but that was another story. Anyway,
God.
Okay, this is great. So once again, congratulations to you on being about to graduate.
You too.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you to all, because there are a number of other people who are kind of lining up too. So there's a bunch of us getting ready to graduate from boot camp right now. So if you're
congrats to everyone. Yes.
Absolutely. Well, I see you. I'm going to go to one last boot camp. Am I going to see you in one last boot camp tonight?
Yeah, you're going?
I'm going, yeah.
Yes, cool. Awesome.
Okay, good. All right, so I'll see you there. All right, thank you very much. Thank you, podcast listeners everywhere. We will see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.